And we are back at it like a crack addict, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that was such a bad joke. But,
God.
yeah. Welcome back to another episode of the Checkers or Wreckers podcast. As always, I am your host, Carter Leonard. And I also have a new co-host with us. As I mentioned about almost 2 weeks ago, that we had another member of the team. This is, you could call him Professor Prostate, or Swiss. But anyways, welcome, all of the above.
Hello.
Yes. Just tell us a bit about yourself and how much of a big racing fan you are.
Oh, God. Well, not much to me. Um, I'm a bit odd of a person, and I've been into motorsports since I was about 4 or 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
First beginning watching NASCAR, and recently I've branched out to GT or endurance racing and just sports car stuff, IndyCar, F1, a bunch of stuff, really.
Very, very nice. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, new week, new episode. This is episode 17 of the first season of the show. We are quickly approaching episode 20. Ain't that some shit? All right, so as always with every beginning part of the episode, we recap the race weekend that we had previous, which it wasn't just a week of NASCAR at Charlotte. It was a big week in motorsports in general. You had Monaco, which honestly was kind of forgettable.
Not a good race.
I mean, when you have Red Bull pretty much dominating everything, you kind of expected that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I did predict a Red Bull car would win, but it was Sergio Perez, not Max Verstappen, so I got the team right still.
Better than nothing.
I mean, to be fair, it was a pretty big no-brainer, but I want to get the other races besides NASCAR out of the way real quick. But we also had the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500, which is a race that, although it being very fantastic, is something that I would like to forget, considering that the Pato Award fanboy in me was very, very upset.
Understandable.
Not that I am a Pato Award fan by any means necessary. My main I am a Pato Award fan, but my main guy that I like to go for, you already know, Swiss, and that's Colton Herta. But I predicted on the show last week that Pato Award was going to win the Indy 500 after coming so close last year. But once again, so close yet so far.
He was going so good against Ericsson until he pushed it too much into 3.
Yeah, and also, with that race marked a pretty scary crash. It involved the 7 of Felix Rosenquist and the 27 of another driver that I like and an up-and-coming star, Kyle Kirkwood, which Kirkwood ended up on his roof, and thankfully both the drivers did walk away from their cars and were okay, but however, a tire nearly flew into the grandstands, but luckily it missed by a good amount of feet, and I felt bad for the person's car that the tire hit.
Yeah, I just couldn't imagine watching one of the most exciting finishes in motorsports, and you go out of the parking lot and suddenly you see that a tire has punched the left headlight area of your car. I would cry.
I'll tell you one thing, I've seen a hell of a lot worse. I mean, I remember the 2016 Cup Series Kentucky race, which was my first ever NASCAR Cup Series race. Someone left their grill on in the parking lot on the back of a truck, and it literally sent that truck up aflame. So that tire hitting the car, it's definitely not the worst thing that I've ever seen. but it was still a pretty scary situation.
God. It reminds me of some old stories my grandpa's told me. Back when he was a kid, he used to go out to races with his stepdad, and friggin' one time a car spun, tire came off the thing, and it flew into the parking lot. Didn't hit but only one car, massive freaking tire, meaty thing. It was on an old 57 Bel Air, and the thing just bounced between car and the parking lot, and thankfully his family's car wasn't hit, but God, I can only imagine experiencing that.
You have to be a shitty luck type of guy to have something like that happen. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know I say the phrase, it can't get any worse a lot lately, but like, god damn, man, that's crazy.
It definitely could have gotten a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, the front windshield could have been completely shattered. The roof probably could have caved in, depending on the speed and velocity that tire was traveling at. I'm not sure, but I'm not saying that I'm a nerd in that. Like,
Yeah, I went back and I inspected some of the footage that they had, some of the closer footage. It looked like the tire hit the ground, bounced over a fence, bounced, and then landed on top of the car. So it had definitely lost a lot of speed to it by then. I mean, and somebody apparently saw the thing in Charlotte during the red flag for the Cup Series race. It was there. So the thing can still drive, it just doesn't have a headlight.
yeah, it's just just crazy. I mean, busted headlight could be a very, very big problem. But now, with that being said, let's get into the actual Charlotte race weekend itself. The Truck Series raced on Friday night, and it looked like it was either going to be between Carson Hocevar and Corey Heim, two of NASCAR's potential superstars in the future, but it ended up being Truck Series veteran, I guess you could call him a Truck Series veteran now, Ben Rhodes stealing the show and getting his first win of the 2023 season.
Yeah, last year was a bit of a doozy for Rhodes, so this could be his comeback. He could be making a jump back up. But Heim was looking strong all night, all throughout the race, and Hocevar was too. Friggin' drove up the pack once or twice, and then had a tire going down near the end, which it didn't end his race, but it screwed him up quite a bit.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that will not be the last time that we talk about Carson Hocevar on this episode, but we'll get to that later on, as news this week has been completely crazy. But yeah, the truck race was fine. It was a solid ass race, but little did I know it was probably going to be the only racing besides the Indy 500 in Monaco that I would see at NASCAR do until Monday afternoon, Monday night, you know. But as we saw, Mother Nature played a very big part. The Xfinity Series race got delayed to Monday, as well as the Coca-Cola 600. But we got majority of racing in for the most part. Let's talk about the Coca-Cola 600 really quick. Ryan Blaney finally gets the monkey off of his back. After 59 races of going winless, he finally gets it done and picks up his 8th career win and his first win of 2023. I remember when Kyle Petty earlier in the season made those comments about how Ryan Blaney is not that championship level threat of a driver, which I don't think he still is, but that win right there, and he was like one of the most dominant cars, if not the most dominant car that entire day. That race showed me that Ryan Blaney is capable of doing something special in the Cup Series.
Yeah, he was up there all day. all night, just running up there, whether it be in the good through pit stops, good just running around. He was good on the short run, on the long run. His car came alive mainly in the short run, but it was really good on the long run. And I think Penske had that thing. They knew it was going to go tonight, so I think Penske had that thing definitely tuned up a little more for the nighttime.
Yeah, it would not shock me, you know. And by the way, not only Penske but Ford itself, besides Joey Logano winning at Atlanta earlier in the year, they didn't really. Ford doesn't really seem like, although they're solid, they're still running top five and top 10. They're just not as competitive as I saw last year. Obviously, you know, at the end of the year, they had the last laugh when they took away, they took the championship, but. So far this year, it's just not really been up to what Ford really demands out of their teams. Which obviously you can't really expect every single team that Ford has to run really, really well. I mean, hey, look at Rick Rare Racing, for example. But, Team Penske, Stewart Haas Racing, and hell, even RFK Racing, which who have been surprisingly good this year. Those are the teams that Ford really depends and relies on. And, you expect them to really go out and just show that they're going to be contenders all year long. And so far, it's not been the case this year, but Ryan Blaney kind of changed that notion, and he gets Roger Penske the victory lane. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention, Roger Penske this year not only gets the Indy 500 with Joseph Newgarden, but also gets the Coca-Cola 600. So Roger Penske went 2 for 2 for Memorial Day races.
And he's looking to capture Le Mans this weekend with Penske, Porsche, in the LMDH program.
Oh, I forgot about Le Mans. Yep, that's correct.
And if Porsche Penske wins the Le Mans race, then this will be the first time that Roger Penske will have swept Le Mans, the Indy 500, and the Coca-Cola 600 in 1 year. Because he has wins in all three of them, but never in the same year. This be a big old year for Roger if he were to win all of them.
Yeah, I would call, if he were to somehow pull out Le Mans, then I would call 2023 a big success for Team Penske. And who knows? I mean, who knows? Maybe Blaney might go on a tear finally and maybe get that Cup Series championship that people have been saying and praising that he would get for so long. All right.
And don't forget that last year's IndyCar championship winner was Will Power in a Penske. So, and Penske's still looking strong this year in IndyCar. So, very well, they could sweep some of the biggest things in motorsports.
I know a lot of race fans, including you and I, we give a lot of credit to Hendrick Motorsports, but I don't think we give Team Penske enough credit because of what they've done, not only in NASCAR, but in a ton of motorsports, period. Like, they are like, when it comes to different classes of racing, they are always competing, or if they're not really the best, they're at least near the top.
Yeah, they're at least doing something related to it.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, Penske has just been running just about everything there is. I mean, back when Mark Donohue won Penske's first NASCAR race in 1973, Penske was also an IndyCar and a Formula One team, along with some other racing categories. And then they dropped out of F1 and eventually got bigger and bigger into endurance racing, and now we're at where we're at today.
If you ask me where I think that they're probably most dominant at, it's either between IndyCar or NASCAR, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right, now we have one more final race to talk about, and that's the conclusion of the longest Xfinity Series race. It's like, no, I lied. But it felt like ages. With one losing streak coming to an end, another one comes to an end as well. And Justin Allgaier gets the win for Junior Motorsports. Justin Allgaier wasn't winless for like a long period of time of Ryan Blaney was, but Junior Motorsports has had a very, very tough start to the season, and it was looking to be a fuel mileage, sprint to the finish. I was worried if Justin Allgaier didn't save enough fuel, but he did, and he picks up his first win of the 2023 season.
That was pretty fun to watch. Yeah, I like Junior Motorsports, and I like Allgaier, so I'm glad that they finally got that first win of the season. They haven't been looking the greatest throughout the season, but they've definitely been up there. Just haven't had the luck until now.
Indeed. But the most impressive thing that I saw from that race, and call it a fuel mileage finish all you want, but I saw a name in sixth place and I've said this multiple times, not just on the podcast, but on our social media handles as well, that this guy right here could be something special if given a good ride. Coming in sixth was Parker Retzlaff.
Retzlaff he doesn't look like a racing driver. He doesn't look it, but God is he knows how to drive. He can definitely drive, just really good. Scarily good sometimes.
Like some racers in the past, in the recent past, he has come up from iRacing. He raced in the Coca-Cola iRacing series. He got a couple of starts with Ryan Sieg, which he actually got a top 10 in one of those races. I believe it was at Richmond. Him taking a car which isn't really that great of equipment and outperforming in it really speaks a lot of volumes. And currently, as of right now, he drives for Jordan Anderson Racing, which I love Jordan Anderson. I love what he's done for the sport. And so far, he has 1 top 5 and 3 top 10s. Now, you may look at that and go that's not the most impressive stats, But then again, he's consistently in the top 15. He keeps the car clean, and quite frankly, he outperforms in his equipment.
Also, isn't he a rookie? Or this is his second year or something like that?
He is a rookie. This is his first full-time year in Xfinity.
Getting top 5s or top 10s or near top 10s weekly in your rookie season in the equipment he's in, put him in a better car, give him 2 years' time, I think he could be a championship contender.
Also, there are rumors of where he might land next year. Now, I'm not going to say where he is, but let's just say it's a pretty good Chevy team that I think would fit him really well. Anyways, moving on. There are also some other good performances. Rajah Caruth in the Truck Series got as high as 4th, and while I think Rajah definitely has the potential, he needs to start performing on a more consistent basis. But what I saw from Charlotte and the past few races shows that Rajah definitely has talent.
Yeah. In Darlington, where he just suddenly started driving up the pack.
I've said this before, had that race gone green till the end, he would have gotten the top 5. He would have finished 3rd.
I can agree with that.
Or who knows, if the leaders dicked around and maybe wrecked on the final lap.
We get an upset win.
I definitely think that Rajah's time is coming. He just needs to put it together.
Yeah. Because he has good runs, he has great speeds, but he just can't put it together, or near the end of the race, it just suddenly falls apart. That reminds me of Blaney the past few years.
Some of the mistakes that Rajah makes are his fault, but some aren't. Like Charlotte, for example, he probably would have finished top 10, but his pit crew wasn't very good. And they kept they kept messing up on stops very badly.
Yeah, he cleared himself at Kansas, if I remember right.
Yeah, he was top 5 that race too. He was highest 3rd, I believe.
He was doing good all night.
So that means that Rajah definitely has speed on intermediate tracks.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to yeah. And we're actually going to go to a racetrack which Raja in his Truck Series debut actually finished really well. Gateway last year when he drove the 7 truck for Spire Motorsports, he actually came home 11th, which for your first time in that series, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, especially with some of the chaos in the Truck Series and how good, like, the top 15 mainly is. That's really good finishing.
Yeah, I definitely think Raja has potential. But anyways, that will do it for the race weekend segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen. We're already over 20 minutes in. Now let's move on to the next topic, and it goes back to the Coke 600, and it is regarding the big time incident that happened on Sunday between Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin. Wow, where have I heard this one before? Like, I swear it's
takes me back to 2017.
Yeah, so we could say it's not the first time these two have tangled, but this time it was different. For many people who didn't watch the race or haven't seen the incident by now, which I'm sure everybody has, I'm going to give the quick rundown. While battling through turns 3 and 4, and coming off of turn 4, Denny Hamlin kind of I wouldn't say washed at the racetrack, but kind of got a little bit tight and brushed Chase Elliott up into the wall. And Chase Elliott, kind of being a little upset, which he had every right to, he did get run into the wall, decides it was a good idea to right hook Denny Hamlin in the dogleg of the front stretch of the track, which, by the way, one of the most dangerous parts on the track to get right hooked, might I add. And
people have been killed in the dogleg before.
Yeah.
Charlotte in Texas. Blaze Alexander and Corey Roper got hooked and hit the outside wall right in that area and dead. And in 2020, I think wasn't it Christian Eckes who got hooked by Ben Rhodes at Texas right in the dogleg and hit the wall really hard?
Yeah. Luckily, with the advancements of safety, Christian Eckes walked away uninjured, but he did leave Ben Rhodes 2 double birds.
Yeah.
But going back to this situation, as I was saying, Chase Elliott right hooks Denny Hamlin into the outside wall, completely destroying the front end of that car. I mean, it was a huge impact for Denny Hamlin. Ended his day, and in his post-care center interview with Josh Sims from Fox Sports, he had every right to be upset, and what he said was absolutely true. Now, since that incident, it only took NASCAR a day to decide that Chase Elliott will be suspended this weekend for this weekend's race at Gateway. Can't say I'm really surprised at this, to be honest. This is the precedent that NASCAR...
It's a very good decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the precedent that NASCAR set. I mean, as I've mentioned on the Instagram story, I should say. God, I can't speak. It's this precedent that NASCAR set. Literally last year, Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson at Kansas, literally, those incidents are really super identical with each other. Literally the exact same incidents. Driver gets brushed into the wall.
Manufacturer, same kind of team in a way, with the 23 and the 11.
Yeah.
It was just really similar and just,
Yeah, the incidents were pretty much the same. Driver kind of gets another driver up into the wall. Driver is reasonably upset. Driver thinks it's a good idea to come down and right hook the driver, and sends both of their cars wrecking, and they're both done for the day.
Yeah, it's just... I wish some people had more control of their tempers, because that was just downright dangerous and reckless from Elliott.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, obviously Adam is not here, but Adam is a huge Chase Elliott fan. Now, he couldn't be here for today's episode, but he did want us to share his take on the whole Chase Elliott situation. And I am currently reading a message that he sent, and it says, and I quote, This is from Adam, by the way. I will always be a fan of Elliott, but there's just some things that you don't do, and right hooking a guy into the outside wall is one of them. The suspension is deserved. And yeah, Adam pretty much nailed it. I mean, literally, first of all, and I, I hate to bring up the boomers, but like, you know, a lot of people, when Bubba Wallace did the same thing to Kyle Larson, they were like, he should be put in jail. But when Chase Elliott does this, it's, that was good old hard racing. You know, the haters, they don't want to, you know, the haters will cry about anything. First of all, regardless of what regardless of what driver you like, that shit is completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
Like,
I can really, I hate it when somebody is so stuck up with their own driver that they cannot admit that they've done wrong. And there are quite a few people out there who've basically praised Elliott for doing this. As Denny Hamlin said best on his podcast a day or two ago, quote, some Elliott fans are sane while most are not.
I'll admit, when I first heard that, I actually really, really laughed, you know, because I don't really listen to his podcast a lot, but I actually should, as a matter of fact, because I heard he says some pretty spicy things on there. But and I think a lot of people are really upset at Denny still, just because of the fact of, you know, it's Denny Hamlin. You know, a lot of people don't like him, but even he will admit that right hooking a guy into the outside wall is just plain wrong. It's just not acceptable. I mean, he even said it himself in his interview. He threw a tantrum, and quite frankly, it's true.
Yeah, he pointed out several examples of Elliott throwing tantrums before, like Auto Club 2022, causing a caution to screw his teammate over.
Which he failed with, by the way.
Yeah, after an incident. Another one would be Bristol 2021, when he pushed Kevin Harvick up the track and blocked him so Larson could win. But it's just overall, like, he might be the most popular driver in NASCAR, but he's a crybaby.
Yeah, and going back to what you said, you know, fans being stuck up with their driver, and we all know who I root for. I'm not even going to say his name, but even when he does some shit, I'll be like, bro, you shouldn't have done that, dude. Just leave it alone. Like, it's really not that deep. It's not necessary. Like, there was a time during the 600 this past weekend where Kyle and Stenhouse were going at it, and I was just like, all right, Kyle, just stop trying to slide job him. You're going to piss him off, dude, and he's going to wreck you because, you know, just saying. And you know, he did put Stenhouse in the wall, and Stenhouse tried to turn him. But that's not. But
same thing as Elliott.
What?
Ricky about did the same thing as Elliott on the front stretch. God, a double suspension would be crazy.
Passing the turf for Kyle Busch because he spun into the turf, but still cleared Stenhouse. Goat shit right there.
Yeah.
All right, but no, back on track for a second and going back to Elliott. I definitely think that the suspension is deserved. You know, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But
yeah.
You may ask, ladies and gentlemen, well, since Chase Elliott is going to be out of the 9 car again, who's going to replace it? Well, it was to major surprise when it was announced yesterday that Corey LaJoie will be piloting the 9 car this weekend for Hendrick Motorsports. I'll admit, when I first saw...
And then you might wonder, who's in the 7?
Oh, yeah, good point. Ladies and gentlemen, remember when I said that this wouldn't be the last time we would talk about Carson Hocevar? Well, get ready to see Carson Hocevar's Cup Series debut as he will drive the number 7 Chevrolet for Spire Motorsports in place for Corey LaJoie. Now, a lot of people, when they saw Chase Elliott get suspended for the one race, they thought, oh my God, Josh Berry, he's going to replace him. While that may seem a likely option, keep in mind the Xfinity Series race is in Portland, and
in Washington.
Yeah, and Josh Berry is there. And the Cup Series race is in St. Louis, Missouri. So you would kind of see how that kind of gets, messed up together.
Jet lag and painful.
Yeah. But I definitely think that Corey LaJoie is a really interesting choice for the 9 car. I don't think he's a bad driver. I think for what, for him being at Spire Motorsports and for what the equipment is, I definitely think that he's a solid driver who I think does have a tiny bit of talent to it. But I think this could be a really good opportunity for Corey to show what he could do in a very good Cup Series ride.
Yeah, because LaJoie has had flashes of brilliance, like at Darlington in 2021 when he was driving the 7 and was doing really good. 13th place in a Spire Motorsports car is really good. At both Atlanta races last year, and more and more, he's just been really good all throughout his career at super speedways, especially. But for what he's driven throughout his career, he's done the best he can with it.
I would also like to add that I'm also a vivid watcher of the Stacking Pennies podcast, which I actually enjoy, because of the things that he does on there. But let's get into Carson Hocevar for a bit. I will admit I did give Carson a rough time a couple of weeks ago for the shit that he did at Martinsville against Taylor Gray when he tried to purposely wreck him. But when Carson Hocevar actually has his head screwed on right and knows what he's doing, he's actually a really, really solid driver and has a lot of talent behind him.
Yeah. Just depends on what happens and how his head's going throughout the race.
And he's also been making Xfinity Series starts for Spire Motorsports as well, which technically it's a Junior Motorsports prepared car, but it runs under the Spire banner. And so far, he's actually collected a pair of top 10s. I believe he finished... Did he finish top 10 at Charlotte this past weekend?
He did. I think he finished like 7th or 8th or something like that. He was picking off spots lap after lap at Charlotte in the 77.
Yeah, he finished 8th.
Man.
Finished 8th, so that's a pretty, for part-time starts, it's pretty good. Now, if
only like 2nd or 3rd Xfinity start, that's some good talent.
Yeah, I mean, literally as of right now, if you had to ask me who is the lead candidate to replace Josh Berry in the 8, considering that he's going off the Stewart-Haas Racing, I mean, it's a no-brainer that Carson Hocevar would take over the role.
Yeah. I think they need to get Brandon Jones out of there and bring Carson in.
Yeah.
Granted, Jones brings in that Menards money. We can't dare lose the Menards money. But with Berry potentially moving up next year to the Cup Series, that could open a spot up for Carson in the 8 if he so wants to.
I definitely think that Dale Jr. wants him, but he's going to be, while he's doing pretty solid in the Truck Series, he finally got that win. He's doing solid in Xfinity. Now we get to see what he's like in the Cup car, which, by the way, there have been rumors this past year of Nice Motorsports wanting to get him into the Cup Series, which I don't know if those plans were ever actually really going to happen. They've been talked about, but Carson Hocevar is going to get some Cup Series seat time, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, why are you putting Hocevar in that ride? I mean, to literally be fair, in the same exact weekend literally the same exact race weekend last year, Zane Smith got his first Cup start after filling in for Chris Buescher because he had COVID. So if Zane Smith could do it, I don't see why Carson Hocevar can't.
Yeah, and if I remember right, Zane got like 17th in his first Cup start.
Top
Which
20.
is really good.
Oh, by the way, Zane Smith picked up his first career Cup Series top 10 in the 38, finishing 10th.
That too, he was pretty good all night.
Yeah, you can't tell me that Zane Smith isn't going to be in the Cup Series next year, one way or another.
Yeah, dude, I am hoping. Excuse me. I'm hoping that he gets some sort of seat at RFK or maybe Front Row Motorsports opens a car up. Or God, with rumors of Harrison Burton potentially going over to Stewart House Racing or Almirola either leaving or finally retiring after he said he was after last year. We very well could see Zane Smith in the 21 or the 10 or the 4 or
I think if you're Stewart Haas race, I think if you're Stewart Haas racing, if you're looking for a candidate in the 10 car, you gotta go get Zane. I'm sorry. No disrespect to Harrison Burton. I think Harrison Burton, I think he's a good guy, but like his time in the 21, I've said this before, his time with the Wood Brothers has left a lot to be desired. But that's a discussion for another time. But Carson Hocevar, getting his first Cup start this weekend. Hopefully he does well. Good luck to him. I'm really starting to turn on him. I didn't really like him at first, but even after his wacky TV session during the rain delay, I'm like, this guy's actually all right. I might like him. I might like him.
Yeah, after seeing all the TV stuff, just overall during the weekend, all the TV stuff was really fun and cool to see. I hope we get to see more drivers only coverages whenever NBC takes over for the season in 2 weeks.
Not to mention, he also interviewed two of my favorite younger series guys, that being Parker Retzlaff and Raja Caruth, who I have mentioned before in the show. The three amigos.
Yeah, those three, Hocevar, Caruth, and Retzlaff, those are three of, in my personal opinion, and many other people's opinions, three of the greatest talents in upcoming NASCAR right now. They have the drive, they have the skill.
I think there's better. When it comes to prospects, I think that there's better ones out there. To be honest, even though I like those guys, you have guys like Sammy Smith. I don't know if I would consider Austin Hill a prospect, considering that he's getting up there in age. Who's another good prospect that's doing pretty well? Corey Haim's doing pretty well. Zane Smith, But those are some of the guys who I would definitely, Raja, Carson, and Parker. I definitely think those are guys that you could probably watch out for. If you get them in top rides and if you let them have things go their way, they could be dangerous. Like, just let them have a little bit of luck on their side.
Yeah. I think with proper ride and equipment, I can only imagine a team with all three of those guys together. Imagine a junior motorsports team of Sam Mayer, Carson Hocevar, Parker Retzlaff, and Raja Caruth. That'd just be if Sam Mayer can get everything together, that would be an unbeatable lineup if they can do good.
I definitely think that probably all those three drivers are going to be looking for rides next year, because I mentioned the Retzlaff rumors. Raja Caruth said that he does not have a ride for next year because it looks like GMS Racing will be switching to Toyota, and we know that Raja Caruth is a Chevy development driver, and Carson Hocevar looks to be moving up to the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, I think if a ride does not open at Junior Motorsports, we could see Spire open an Xfinity team full-time for Carson and just kind of work out of the Junior Motorsports shop.
I wouldn't mind that, actually. All right.
Yeah, that'd actually be pretty neat. A one-man operation for Carson, as I think right now is what he needs, because Nice is kind of spreading everything too far in between. Because last year they had like 5 trucks.
Nice is definitely
God awful.
Nice is definitely a very interesting team. You know, the 42 obviously is no question the most competitive ride there, and the 41 can be competitive as long as Ross
There's a good
Chastain's,
driver.
yeah, like Ross Chastain's in it. So, all
Yeah,
right,
Nice definitely tried expanding to way too fast because they went from like 2 or 3 trucks to 5 back to like 3.
yeah, definitely. You want to keep a good amount of trucks, like maybe 2 to 3 just to handle, because that'd be a lot more easier. All right,
Yeah.
now moving on with another topic. With one chase penalty comes another chase penalty. Chase Briscoe. Oh my God,
Dear Lord. I don't know how they managed to do it.
When I saw the details of Chase Briscoe's L3 penalty yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, that was probably, obviously, it's been recorded as one of the biggest driver slash team fines in NASCAR history, and it goes to show. So, I'm going to read off the stats of the of the penalty real quick. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so the number 14 team of Chase Briscoe has been docked 120 points for both owner and driver standings. 25 playoff points have been lost. A 6-week crew chief suspension, and a $250,000 fine. There's only one.
God.
There's only
That is the kind of penalty that would put a team into bankruptcy.
Yeah, but we're thankful that Stewart-Haas Racing has a lot of funding behind it. But there's one word that I have to say about this whole penalty. You ready for it? Yikes.
Yeah.
Big yikes for me right now. As my dad tried to call me just now. I will. Hold on, real second, people. Technical difficulties.
It's quite frankly amazing that Stewart-Haas managed to get this penalty in the first place.
Yeah, it's funny.
Is so mind-bogglingly confusing on the reason they got it.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you bring that up because we saw how the 14 of Chase Briscoe was performing. Like, now, keep in mind, I wasn't, like, really focusing on Briscoe himself, but, like, I would always see, the ticker flip through, like, each individual position, and there was times where Chase Briscoe wasn't even inside the top 25. Like, it was a bad day at the track, and you would think, wow, man, it can't get any worse. It just got worse.
Someone at Charlotte for the 600 pointed out that within the half of the laps in stage 1, Briscoe was passed by Ty Dillon and B.J. McLeod on pace.
I think one of my friends in one of the NASCAR group chats I'm in said it best. How are you going to try to cheat and still suck ass?
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna cheat, at least do what Hendrick did and do good with it.
Well, here's the thing. Now, I don't condone cheating in any sports by any means necessary, but if you're gonna do it, at least have it have a really good outcome to it and not get caught. I can't. This situation, on the other hand, that is not the case. They thought the finish. They thought they're. Hold on. Where did Briscoe even finish in the 600? Hold on.
Oh Jesus!
I would be even surprised.
Wow.
I would be even surprised.
Top 30, I think.
20th. He finished 20th.
My God.
Yeah. Safe to say, Chase Briscoe, your playoff chances went bye-bye unless you somehow can
pull off 3 wins.
Yeah, or like pull off some like modern day ass miracle and somehow point your way in with the win. But other than that,
the funny thing is that he is 31st in points now. 32nd place is Noah Gragson.
Well, Noah Gragson. Well,
in history, and he's still in front of Gragson.
In all fairness, Noah Gragson is down there for a reason. Not saying he doesn't have talent, but Legacy Motor Club just wishes 2024 was here already.
Yeah, because they're swapping the Toyota next year, so they're hoping that they get some help from Joe Gibbs.
I really hope that team does succeed. I really hope they do. Like.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be weird to see the 43 on a Toyota, but if they do good.
It's been rumored for years, and it's finally gonna happen.
Yeah, back in 2021, the biggest thing was that Bubba Wallace was gonna leave the team and was gonna swap the Toyota to try and pull him back eventually. And
he did end up going to Toyota.
True.
He did end up.
Yeah, and the Toyota thing wasn't true. You know, everybody believed we gotta stay with Ford or Chevy, and bam, 2024, 43 and 42 are gonna be on Toyotas.
But anyways, back to the 14 for Stewart-Haas Racing. Yeah, obviously Noah is down there for another reason of points, but Chase Briscoe, I want to say that Chase Briscoe he was somewhere in like the top 20 in points. Not top 20, maybe like top 25. You know, he wasn't running the best, but yeah, let's just send him back way bad. And what really shocks me is the 25 playoff points. I don't think he even had that many playoff points to begin with, considering the fact that he hasn't been running well this year.
It's like Justin Haley when he got penalized and he got put into the negative points.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, man. You're beating a dead horse at this point.
By the way, me and Swiss know a very good Chase Briscoe fan in one of the Discord servers that we're in, and let's just say his reaction was totally justified.
Yeah, basically sobbing.
And screaming his lungs off.
Sobbing.
We're not going to mention the person's name or anything like that, but if he's somehow watching this video, I feel so sorry for you, buddy. I hope the season gets way better. Hopefully Chase Briscoe starts running. I mean, Briscoe does have talent. I definitely think that he has a lot of talent. He's a
fair driver in his own right.
He just doesn't use it correctly.
Yeah. I mean, like the Coca-Cola 600 last year, he overstepped the car and spun it coming out at 2, trying to get Larson, which inevitably costed Larson the 600.
Yeah.
If I remember right, he sent it too hard on Reddick last year at Bristol Dirt and costed both of them the win.
Yeah, and little did we know that would be Kyle Busch's final win with JGR. But I digress.
Yeah. Which is so weird to think about.
Yeah. But nah, for all the Chase Briscoe fans probably watching this, my condolences to you and your season. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
Exactly.
Like there's no other way to say it. You're screwed. It's plain and simple at this point. All right.
Briscover.
Yes.
Before we move on, I'd like to mention how Briscoe got this penalty.
Oh yeah, please go in depth because
NASCAR gives out the parts from their big manufacturing center and things like that. And you know, they've told teams that they're supposed to get the parts from NASCAR. If they need any extras, they can just contact them and ask for it. Well, suddenly, when they announced this penalty, people are wondering why. Because, well, it came out from Jeff Gluck not too long after, 2 minutes after the NASCAR tweet, that Briscoe's car was running a counterfeit underwing/air duct.
Jesus Christ.
Under the car, it is smooth. Smoother than the baby's back. Well, they have a little hole that goes up, that's under the engine that helps the car cool down.
Right.
Well, Stewart-Haas Racing, what I assume, wanted to cut some costs on the car, save a bit of money to put into Harvick or something, I'd assume. And they basically looked at the part that NASCAR gave them and made their own. And then proceeded to put on a car. And this was only noticed because when they were taking the car to R&D to inspect it, because that was one of the cars taken to R&D, somebody was checking under the car for the stuff, and they had another car that they inspected under earlier in the day, and they saw that the holes weren't matching up on the sizes, and so they checked the NASCAR perimeter for the rulebook, found that Briscoe's was too small. The air duct was too small.
Oof.
And that could create extra downforce and therefore an advantage.
Yeah. And with all that being said, and I'm going to mention it one last time, we saw the performance from that team. It's not like it really did anything. Granted, I definitely think that the penalty should be, gifted, but at the same time, it's not like that they were getting any. It's not like they were going to really be the class
of
the.
Like Briscoe was lapping half the field in the lap.
No, it's not like he brought the goddamn T-Rex car from like the 1996 All-Star race and just started, whipping ass all of a sudden. He wasn't running that well, but I understand that the penalty is very warranted and it should have been gifted out. I definitely agree.
Yeah, now there's a theory. NASCAR has decided to take more cars to R&D. They're looking at
I did see that.
They can do that.
I did see that, and you know what?
There's a theory now that teams like Hendrick and Penske and maybe Stewart-Haas still have been doing this. They've been faking these parts. They've been making counterfeit parts. But because they have the engineers and the money and the things like that, they can make them exact replicas. Because the Briscoe thing, they have the serial numbers and all the stuff. The numbers, they had made their own set of serial numbers for that part. So people are theorizing that bigger teams are also doing this.
You know what? If they do decide that they're probably, not only bringing a lot more cars, but bring the entire goddamn field to the R&D center, you know what? I honestly would not mind that. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Now, I'm not saying that teams like Hendrick Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing, or any of those teams along the like are specifically doing what the 14 team did, but you never know, dude. There's always some goofy stuff behind the scenes. Now, I'm not trying to create some conspiracy or anything, but you never know, man. Teams get away with a lot of minor details that you never realize until NASCAR decides, we're going to give you a $25,000 fine, but just don't do that again.
Yeah, basically a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, but after what we saw with Briscoe, ooh, I don't know. That ain't a slap on the wrist. That is a goddamn guillotine decapitation. No, it's a guillotine decapitation.
Yeah, they are not messing around anymore. They want teams know, don't do this.
Yeah, and
if a team like a BJ McLeod Motorsports does this, they're shutting down immediately.
Yeah, you don't want to be one of the small. At least Stewart-Haas Racing is very, very thankful that they have a lot of funding behind them. Now, see, if this was Spire or BJ McLeod, oh, they're fucking done, dude.
Yeah, they're either going into a hole for years or they're just done.
Well, I will give a piece of advice for teams who are worried about this. don't do illegal shit, and you probably won't get a penalty.
Yeah, that's a very good idea.
Pretty simple. All right, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, now we are into our next topic, and it's looking ahead to Gateway and Portland. Two of the newest tracks on the NASCAR schedule, which have been added since last year, and let's just say both tracks, which Gateway has been on the schedule for the Truck Series for a long time, but however, I can't speak the same for the Cup Series, along with Portland International Raceway, which is where the Xfinity Series will be going to this weekend. Two very unique tracks. One's a road course, one's an oval. And let's just say both races, both Cup at Gateway and Portland Xfinity, were both wacky races last year. Let's just say that I mean, what do you think? Were they wacky as shit? And apparently, where did Swiss go? Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost to an hour of this show. It is, quite frankly, insane.
The Xfinity race was very wacky last year.
I thought
Pure chaos.
Yeah, I thought I lost you for a second. I was just getting silence.
My headset has an issue where it'll sometimes disconnect out of my phone because it's wired, so...
I see. Don't worry, you're all good. Don't worry, people, the technical difficulties are fixed. But, yeah, as I was saying, you know, both the first ever Cup race at Gateway and the first ever Xfinity Series race at Portland last year, both races had some pretty memorable moments.
Yeah. Plus, the truck race last year at Gateway was pretty memorable on its own for some of the stuff that happened. Like, you know, for example, Hocevar getting a crash that broke his leg.
And Corey Haim stealing the win.
Yeah.
Now, with that I expect a lot of good racing this weekend. From what I understand, when it comes to the Portland race, it's not expected to rain. I will check on that.
Well, it very well does. I look forward to a certain man named Jordan Taylor, experienced road racer, to definitely be taking the win.
I would go with Jordan Taylor, but I don't know yet. I'm still thinking about my pick.
Taylor has a lot of experience in road racing. Plus, he got like ninth this year at Circuit of the Americas when he was filling in for Elliott when he broke his leg.
That is true.
What is with drivers recently and breaking their legs?
Oh, it's supposed to be sunny, 78 degrees at Portland, so we will see a sunny day of racing for the Xfinity Series, so we don't have to worry about rain. Not that I don't dislike weather racing, but, you know, I just wanted to be sure. You know, you can never be too careful. But, all right, ladies and gentlemen, now let's get into the final segment of the show. As always, it is our race pick segment. We look at the upcoming races during the weekend, and we pick to see who's going to win. The first race of the weekend it's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Worldwide Technology Raceway, aka Gateway. It is the Toyota 200. Swiss, this is your first time on the show. Who is your pick to win the Truck Series race?
My main pick for the Truck Series race, based off of his recent performance and how he did partly last year, is Carson Hocevar.
That is a very, very solid pick. Now, I'm going to go with the driver who did win here last year. I think he's going to go back-to-back, and so far he has been on a run of top 5 and top 10 finishes and is currently the points leader in the Truck Series, that being the 11 of Corey Haim. I think he picks up his second win of the season, and he gets it done again at Gateway. Now we Definitely. Now we get into the Xfinity Series race at Portland International Raceway. It is the Pacific Automation Group 147. Swiss, who do you have for that race?
Experienced road racer making his first NASCAR Xfinity Series start in the number 10 for colleague, Jordan Taylor.
Now, see, for me, this is a hard race to pick because if AJ Allmendinger was in this race, I would have automatically picked him. But alas, he's not.
But he's not there this weekend.
No, he is going to be in St. Louis because he drives full-time for Colleague and Cup. But as for my Xfinity Series pick, I tried to look at some guys who have a decent amount of road racing background, and one guy that really came into my mind, and people may say that I'm kind of crazy for saying that. Well, not crazy, but kind of like it's an odd pick. But he's ran good with this team so far, all it being 12th or 13th in points. I'm gonna say Parker Kligerman gets his first Xfinity win.
I'd be very happy with that. I want to see Parker do good. Almost got Atlanta, crossed the line.
I definitely think that we are really underestimating what that 48 team could do, big machine racing. And yeah, Parker Kligerman.
Last year, didn't Tyler Reddick run good or get a win in that car at Texas?
Yeah, he did get that win at Texas.
Yeah. So, if Reddick can do it really good and a bunch of other drivers can run that car pretty good, I think Parker can do it just as good.
Yeah, definitely.
Plus, until Noah Gragson threw a temper tantrum, the 48 was running pretty good there last year. But that was at Road America that happened.
Yeah.
I remember the 48 was still doing good at Portland.
Yeah, it was a mix of Jay Buford and Nick Sanchez actually got some starts in that ride.
Yeah.
Another rising prospect, might I add. But now let's get into the main event Sunday. It is the 15th is race number 15 for the NASCAR Cup Series. It is the Enjoy Illinois 300. It is the second Cup Series race at this track. And by the way, I forgot to add into this, it is looking to have another sellout crowd on the front stretch. We saw how packed it got at Gateway, and we're expecting the same as last year. Kind of like this past week, we saw a pretty good crowd for a Monday Coke 600, and now we're going to see a pretty good crowd for Gateway. But Swiss, who do you have winning the Cup Series race at Gateway this weekend?
Well, he finished second last year and was running all good until Joey Logano threw a slider on him as I forget his name. But as it was said, I say that Kyle Busch wins at Gateway.
You gonna win in the Wii car?
Yes. Gets high on the front stretch during the post-race interview.
By the way, after his Talladega win, he definitely had some runs where he was running good, but just bad luck happened. And then he followed those two races up with 2 top 10 finishes at both Darlington and Charlotte. So consistency matters for Kyle Busch, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, Kyle's definitely been pretty consistent this year. I originally, going into this year, I did not have him winning a single race with RCR. But I've been proven very wrong.
It only took...
He almost to sweep speed weeks.
It only took 2 races for him to get in the victory lane.
And it almost took him only 1, because he ran ungodly good in the Clash, got like second. Yeah, he got second place.
He actually got third.
Dylan got third. Oh, yeah, because Dylan passed him near the end.
Yeah, Dylan finished second.
He was about to win his dual race until Daniel Suarez Viva La Mexico'd him and sent him away. And he was going to win the 500 until Suarez spun out into the front stretch grass.
So far, he's had a pretty good season. He's currently 10th in points. He has 2 wins, which I was in attendance for one of them, by the way. 3 top 5s and 7 top 10s. So far, it's been a pretty solid season for Kyle Busch. But that's a good pick. As for my pick, on the other hand, I'm actually not going to pick a Hendrick driver, which I wouldn't say they were terrible there last year, but Hendrick kind of struggles on flat tracks like Gateway.
Yeah.
So I'm
New
not
Hampshire
I'm not gonna
definitely
pick
struggled.
I'm not exactly gonna pick Kyle Larson. I mean, who knows? But listen, Larson fans, I know he's fast, but don't expect him to be fast every week. You're gonna have weeks where he sucks. Sorry.
Sometimes the equipment bogs down the driver.
Yeah, I mean he kind of had a crappy week. Well, not a crappy week, but he kind of had like a meh week during Charlotte. He wasn't really a top five car. He was just kind of like ninth, 10th, whatever.
Yeah, just kind of running there until he got caught up in a crash.
Yeah. Now, as for my Cup Series pick, I actually really thought long and hard about this. Well, not really long and hard, but like I tried to find a driver that really made sense, and a guy that's actually really solid at flat tracks, and he won two tracks with kind of like a flat surface with them. And my pick to win this weekend at Gateway is Christopher Bell.
That is a good pick.
Now, I hope to God that the Bristol dirt curse is not real because, you win that race and then you don't do jack all the rest of the season. By the way, so far, Bell is the lead Joe Gibbs driver. He only has one win, 5 top 5s, and 8 top 10s. But after his Bristol dirt win, he's only gained 2 top 10s, which that's kind of a mess slump. But I definitely think he could get it together, and a top 10 would really help him at not only a top 10, but I definitely think that he could probably get the win at Gateway. So he's really solid this year, and he's gonna show why. So yeah, my pick to win this weekend is Christopher Bell.
I can see that. Yeah, because he has won in New Hampshire twice with Joe Gibbs. New Hampshire in 2021 and New Hampshire in 2022.
Exactly, and I don't know if you want to consider it short track because it has a little bit of banking, but you could throw Martinsville in there too with that clutch victory to send him to the championship for last year.
Yeah, that too, because Martinsville only has like 7 degrees of banking. It's about as flat as you can get.
Yeah, I definitely expect the Gibbs cars to be up front like they were last year.
Yeah, definitely doing good. Because Kyle Busch was doing real good until Logano.
You know what? Come to think of it, as a Kyle Busch fan, had that race probably gone green, I don't know if he probably would have held off Logano because Logano was charging hard.
Yeah, Logano was just.
He would have had
like
to had Logano force a mistake and just drive off.
Yeah, he would have had to drive like Logano, blocking like Logano,
Or
to keep Logano away from him.
Or like Logano getting like loose out of turn 2 really bad and he just drives off. Just Logano can't even catch him.
Yeah, because going into turn 3 in that race, I freaking Logano just slid right under Kyle Busch and passed him.
Yeah.
And that was the race where we had the iconic Ross Chastain versus Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott incident.
Yeah.
So, God, I can only imagine how Hamlin and Elliott are gonna go into Sonoma. I can't wait for the Chase Elliott is back commercials.
Oh my God, dude! Like, listen.
I remember seeing a meme when Bowman was coming back, and it was Chase Elliott's teammate is back, and the text was covering up like half of Bowman.
Hey man, say what you want about Alex Bowman this year. He's been very consistent.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
ladies
not
and
the
gentlemen.
biggest Bowman fan, but he's been good.
Yeah, props to him. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, and if you are still watching by this time, congratulations. You are just now watching the longest episode so far in Checkers or Wreckers podcast history at so far 1 minute, 9, oh, I mean, not 1 minute, 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 16 seconds.
Man.
Yeah, you guys are getting a treat today. So, but yeah, guys, that will do it for this weekend's episode of the Checkers or Wreckers podcast. Swift, we are definitely looking forward to having you on for more episodes.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.